So, welcome back, everybody, to the Grow Pro podcast. Topic: How CEO spy. And I have a extremely successful CEO here with me in Europe, and it's Ari Albertini. I'm sure, right? Ari. In English, it's probably pronounced wrongly. Anyway, Ari Albertini from FTAPI, one of a very successful software company based in Germany.
Mhm.
And Ari, I give to you. You can quickly explain or tell the users a bit because I find it important at the beginning to understand the context of the company a bit, where you are, growth rate, current ARR, who is your buyer, what kind of yeah, who do you sell to?
Yeah, love to be here, Patrick. Thank you for the invitation. Or Patrick, it depends on the language.
Works in
Um,
both here. That's fine.
I'm Ari. I'm CEO at FTAPI, and we're a very successful SaaS B2B company based in Munich and currently focusing on the DACH region. And our main value proposition is securing data exchange within companies. So how can you make sure that regarding or disregarding all the channels you have, that all the data that comes in or comes out is secured, is compliant, and is also um, going around all the regulation that you need in our focus industries. So that said, we're focusing on heavy regulated industries, public sector, healthcare, financial services, and mid-market to enterprise. You asked who is our buyer? It's IT leadership, it's information security leadership, and sometimes business lines, depending on the use case.
Mhm.
We are Our goal is to keep our higher double-digit growth rate, and we are currently north of 20 million AR.
Wow, super. Yeah, I love to see your success on the sidelines. Obviously, have seen quite, yeah, you've seen some of your team online and see some of the celebrations, and it's quite a treat to see that from German and European companies. Now we first go into the buying
Mhm.
aspect, Ari. In this call, we might get back to the deal sizes and so on, that we might need that in later in the discussion. But my first question is, you as a CEO of an
Mhm.
organization with around 250 plus employees, do you actually get approached a lot by sales reps? How do they approach you? And
Uh,
yeah, I'd let it at that.
I get approached more and more often. I would say like 5 to 10 times a day,
Mhm.
over various and different channels. So I think the channel I hate most, where I'm being contacted, is my personal phone,
Yeah.
which are usually only headhunters, normally out of the UK or the US. And that's why I think a year ago decided to block all unknown numbers. So if you try to reach me, don't try my phone. You won't get through.
Unknown numbers. Unknown, but it doesn't say unknown on
Unknown
your
in
phone,
my
right? But it's you don't know. Okay.
unknown,
Yeah.
so like not saved in my context.
Yeah.
Um, I get approached a lot on LinkedIn. Usually on LinkedIn, it's either people that want to sell me their sales approach, um, headhunters, or people that want to sell me how I can secure government funding for any solution, which
Wait, headhunters, you have co-founder and CEO in your profile, don't you?
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's it's really the Wild West out there for headhunters, it seems. And sometimes it's even headhunters that want to sell me their services for our company.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I get rarely approached by things that I really need on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I think the rest is email, which also I would say currently 8 to 9 out of 10 are irrelevant. And let's say the 10th out of 10 got my name wrong or got my company wrong.
Mhm.
So the amount of approaches that I get that are really interesting for me, I would say is 1 out of 1,000.
1 out of 1,000. Wow. Okay. And email would be the best channel then, compared like link. Well, you
That,
get irrelevant stuff everywhere, as it sounds, but
uh,
email would be the best channel to reach
For,
you.
for me, yes, because I'm structuring my day around my emails. So basically, if I would tell you, well, I sent you that or that afterwards, I would send a mail to myself, like as my task. So email for me is a heavy channel.
That's a
Um,
good one. I like that. Okay.
and
Okay.
the problem on LinkedIn is I love LinkedIn a lot,
Hmm.
um, but most of the people start LinkedIn with a very, very long message. And that's just not the. So if I look on LinkedIn, I look for quick updates, not for
Hmm.
long time focused updates. So I'm rather intrigued to read a, let's say, 5 to 10 sentence email than a 5 to 10 sentence LinkedIn message.
Yeah. So shortness is a critical part
Yeah.
for you.
And
Anything else that you realized is grabbing your attention better than other stuff?
better, let's go it from a different direction. Things that I really dislike and immediately shut off. People that write me on LinkedIn, hey, I hope okay do is okay for you. So the German like informal approach
Yes.
is okay for me. And then
Yeah.
the first 5 sentences are why it's important that it's okay to be also informal. And I'm like, just write me or don't write me, but don't start explaining how you want to write me.
Yeah.
Um, I like, and I really don't like unpersonalized messages. So if you do not invest at least the amount of tokens for AI or your own time to personalize your message on our needs, don't even bother.
Hmm. Hmm.
What
Yeah.
I like is indeed if people are using personalized messages, but there's also a little bit. So I got yesterday an email from sales developer from investors that wrote me a year after our announcement of the Series B. Congrats to your Series B.
This, I get those every day almost,
And
honestly, as well. Still, it's
and
2
I'm
years ago.
like, it's super unprofessional. So just do it rightly or don't do it.
Yeah.
And what I like is really the, hey, this is I think you have this problem or this, you might have this problem. This is our solution. Here, look at it. Keep it short, keep it brief, and value my time.
Quick question in between. Did you have a sales background a little bit, Ari,
Yes.
or yes as well?
So
So you,
maybe as a short introduction there to myself, I joined FTAPI after my university. It was about 12 years ago, and I joined as a sales developer.
yeah, true. You
and
said, yeah.
and and then I became account manager, then I became head of, and so on and so forth. And so 4 years ago, I became CEO. So I very much did all the stuff and know a lot of stuff in SaaS B2B sales.
Hmm.
Um, so that's why also I value everyone that writes me in terms of I know how hard it is being a sales developer,
Yes.
but I I value my time more than I value just, I know it's hard. So do it rightly and I'm open for it. Do it wrongly and you don't get an answer from me.
Yeah.
I don't answer stuff I don't like.
Yeah. Cool. So, but I guess cold calls, you haven't taken any meetings for a very long time, as you said, with blocking numbers. So nowadays you
So
don't really
I
get
I
any.
don't have a phone in my business life anymore.
Yeah.
So basically I don't have a fixed line or landline. So it's impossible to reach me. And my mobile or smartphone is private, which means the number goes only out for very, very specific people. So that's it. Cold calling me is quite impossible.
Yeah, I mean that's why I guess it's quite still like the all bound or different channels is important
Correct.
to kind of try reach. That's a good one. That's what I like about these discussions, you know. Some people say I reach some CEOs I talk to, they say, "Hey, you only reach me by phone. That's
Yeah.
it." Some don't, and that's exactly that reflects a little bit what
Hmm.
we say out there as well. Do you remember the last the last message you actually took a meeting with, or is that too long ago?
The last message I took a meeting with,
Or one
yeah,
you
yes,
remember?
yeah, I remember, and uh, it was actually a success for the seller and also for us. I don't know if you remember, there was a startup out of Denmark called Growblocks. It was a revenue operations platform.
Hmm.
Um, and it was the time where we were restructuring revenue operations, wanted to become more focused on KPIs and seeing the whole funnel and all the fancy stuff. And they came along and said, "Hey, we built a new platform. You would be customer number five." So very early on, and we focus on people that use Salesforce that are SaaS B2B, and our goal is to bring you in within 30 days. You will see all the metrics you've never seen before. And
Hmm.
I was like, that's exactly my problem. Let's face it. We had 2 or 3 meetings. I paid around 15K ARR for the solution. We implemented it. I was super happy. They were not able to raise another funding round. They shut down half a year later, and that's the story, end of the
Oh
story.
no.
Um, but nevertheless, it was super helpful for us, and that was what I mean. I had a problem, and someone approached me, very brief, very professional, and said, "Let's look at it," and I was super hooked.
Oh no, and they didn't make it, even though you would say, actually, from your perspective, they actually had product market fit because you were happy with what they
I think
did.
I think their biggest problem was the heavy investment lifting in terms of data analysis. They had to invest in data engineers so that they could actually connect.
Hmm.
And I think they would have needed a lot of higher ARR to get a good return on investment because it's at the end you need very smart people. And I think it was just the unit economics were not playing out. I'm
Unit
not
economic,
in
okay.
the details. I loved Tony, who was the founder, and they still do a good podcast with I think called Revenue Brothers.
Hmm.
Um, so very successful in this terms. Unfortunately, they did not
Yeah.
survive.
And so the message was great, the way they reached out. I guess that was an email.
Yes.
That was an email. And then what else? Do you remember the process more or less? What happened? How many meetings did you need there? Was it because 15K ARR, probably
I would
two,
say
three, one, two, three?
it's 2 years ago, so it's even a bit more, 2.5 years. I would say we had about 2 to 3 meetings. Um, the first one was with the seller that was classical discovery, um, and it was clear that it's super early on. It's nobody really knew what the questions were,
Hmm.
but he was super transparent, and I like that. If people tell me, well, you're the fifth customer, let's go together this road down. My expectation is a different one. And um,
Hmm.
and then we had a look on the product, and they showed that they even introduced us to people working on the product so that we know who's behind that. And then we were convinced and said, let's try it out.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Absolutely.
Business case probably, I mean 15K you probably, or how do you treat that topic in this case?
So I'd like I have to say we ourselves are really much focused on giving our potential customers a business case
Hmm.
and telling them. And for me, when I do that internally on the buying side, I'm not anymore the guy that is in the demo and does the competition and looks on everything. At the end, I'm the guy that signs off on the deal. So for me, the buying case, I need to see that there is one.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna challenge it too much because I'm not that much in the details, but what I want is to see that my internal champion is working with that mindset of an ROI. And I think that's the important stuff
Mm.
there,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I need to have a good feeling that this this is a topic that is covered. I don't care if the ROI is 3x, 5x, or 10x, because at the end it's always like a bit fuzzy. But I
Yeah.
need to know that my champion said like what is gonna change in my company, how is revenue changing, how is cost changing when we're implementing this, and we got this covered. So for me, it's more like a checkbox than it is really the case of the what's the number there.
Okay, cool. Super, super cool insight. So it's really more about a way of thinking in the company that people do think, and you want to push that a little bit. I guess you do probably sign quite a few
Hmm.
contracts, right? Do you,
Correct.
when you sign contracts, I guess there are some that you have not been involved at all,
Hmm.
or is it usually that people, okay, they come to you, they talk to you through the contract internally, or sometimes you get just one for signature? Does that happen?
It happens both. So I think what was the last software we bought or I signed off? I think it was Asana.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because we were trying out a lot of different tools and just decided for that one. And I was not very much involved in the process. That was done by the project team and the CFO. Um, I was just then, so I then just to guide everyone through, I get an offer, and before I get the offer, I get a mail from the project team says like, you will get this offer. We already discussed point X, Y, Z. Um, we already discussed the price because they know with my background, I'm always telling guys, go back and get 10% more discount. So they know.
Sales leaders do that much more often
Yeah,
than anybody else. It's
it's
crazy because
it's
they
just
know.
I know the margins you have in our business, and I know there's always room for a little more. Um,
Yeah.
and they know that they tell me, well, we discussed this with IT security, we discussed this with data protection. Everyone has signed off on the deal, so you just need to sign. So what I do is I invest about 10 minutes, depending on the size, maybe more. I'm reading to the terms and policy and stuff. Usually putting that stuff also in my AI agent, just asking him, is there any trap? Is there anything I should to be aware of? I
Yes.
put the numbers also in the AI agent, ask him just, is this a valid and fair amount? Or is this something which we should reconsider?
Hmm.
Um, and if everything is green, I just sign off. And if there's anything open, I try to make it just a one circle topic. So I put all my stuff in there. I tell them, this is just, I want to know. It doesn't matter what's the outcome. I just want to know it. This is what you need to fix. And this is what I expect. And if you can get this done, I sign without another question. And this is what I then play back to the team.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, a lot of respect for the profession, a lot of like considerate ways. I mean,
Mhm.
I like that, especially from a sales perspective, from a sales pe person's perspective as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And I have to tell you, and that's my point, when I get annoyed, it's if processes take too long. That was, for example, one part which I didn't like at Asana is
mhm,
that my CFO then told me, well, it was a back and forth because it was like, yeah, I would like to give you the 5% extra discount, but I need to get the signature and the approval from 3 people for that. And that's if you start as a seller making this stuff, people often think, oh, that on the other side leads to some okay, he's super invested and everything. But actually, it means I'm talking with someone who has no power and is not able to negotiate.
mhm,
And then I myself, in this case, say, well, then I'm not negotiating with you. Then you can discuss this with your peer level, and it takes forever. And when it comes to me, I will tell you I want another 10% discount and bring me someone in that can negotiate. You can skip all of this time by just telling, I bring my responsible person with enough power to negotiate. Please bring yours, bring them in together, take 20 minutes, finalize the contract, and sign off of the deal.
That brings me to the next question then, Ari, because you are doing that as well, right? From your
Mhm.
side, you say, hey, you ask them for another 10%. Have you ever gotten the reply from the sales rep then who wanted to sell to you, being like, well, in this case, can I directly talk to Ari? and then kind of you had to get into a call with the
Mhm,
sales rep because you wanted 10% off, and the sales rep wanted to
mhm,
discuss with you what he
mhm.
potentially could get for
No,
the most important principle, give and get and stuff, and
no,
what was it?
indeed, I
Whatever.
think it's this US-based system where discounts need the desk deal approval and so on and
Yes,
so forth.
Salesforce and
This
everybody
says,
got, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
and
yeah.
what I hate is if people start putting the responsibility for a deal into the process instead of keeping it for themselves. So I don't care what process you need to do. I want my 10%. And you either can write me, here are your 10%, sign off, or you tell me, hey, if you want this 10%, come into a meeting with me. I will bring someone that can also give you 10%. He might not do it, but he could. And then you talk directly to him. For me, all of them is fine, but just don't tell me this is now not anymore our problem. The process needs to decide.
Ah, I like that. Yes, I see. I see your point. And obviously, if a sales rep would do it to, would ask you, hey, can you then come into a meeting? You would probably say, yeah. But I guess that never happened. That when you bought, that you
Mhm.
jumped into a meeting with a sales rep.
Uh, Well, it's funny because the only thing where it happened is Salesforce.
Ah, yeah, okay, yeah.
It's just because they say, hey, the contract is so big, and I think we are on a six-figure ARR deal with Salesforce.
Yeah,
Well, we bring in someone important, and not so much to negotiate, but to show you how important you are for us. And that's also something, in my opinion, where often if you sell and you have a good company, you should always bring in high-level people, even if they just smile into the camera, to show the customer that you value his time, that you value him as a partner and a potential customer, and that the whole company is looking at this deal and is not gonna screw you over.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's done, unfortunately, that's done too rarely.
yeah. I think so for sure. When does your team involve you actively, more active in a deal, not just like, okay, here's signature, that's the most important point. Are there any kind of rules for this, or are there any, or do
Yeah.
you, because I could imagine you're a person like, look, guys, you handle it mostly yourself, and I mean, I don't want to be involved in everything. You probably can't do that, leading such
Yeah.
a big company, right? So, but how do you do that?
So we have our limits, who can sign off on which amounts. And I think currently on external software, I'm not sure, I think it's 30K where I have to sign off, um, which is not, doesn't reflect on renewals or stuff. So that's already done. But if we buy a new software which is about 30K or more,
ARR or
ARR,
ACV or service or anything?
ACV, ACV,
ACV, so the
yeah,
first year's size
correct.
of the first year's contract. Yeah.
And if that's above 30K, then it needs the CFO and my signature. And I think uh, uh, below 10K, everyone can just handle it if it's in his budget.
Hmm.
And between 10 and 30, it's just done with the CFO.
Okay. Okay. And who introduced these rules typically? Was that you, or the CFO said, "Hey, we
Uh,
need that," or
no, indeed, it was a bit of a mix between CFO, myself, and the project manager because we said, well, somehow why do we even discuss? We had times when we discussed 5K ACV deals, and then at some point, I think our new CFO then tell, why do we even bother to talk about this? Like it's 5K, what can go wrong? Just let's try it out. And then we said, okay, we give more out in terms of budgeting, so people have real freedom. And we bring in, and we said, I think we're buying about 3 times a year a software with more than 30K. So it's super rare.
mm,
And that's why we said, okay, once a quarter, investing the time is absolutely worth it.
I see. Yes. Knowing your CFO, Ari, how
Mhm.
are there some specific things where you and your CFO differ in how you look at these things? Do you know how your CFO looks
So
at these things?
Max, our CFO, is he never would acknowledge it, but he likes to negotiate, and he has fun in it. And sometimes I think he likes to see the other side suffer. Um, But basically, it's his job to make sure that he gets the best price possible. Um, and he usually is also very successful in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I, coming out of the sales, I always have a bit of, let's say, empathy for the seller. He does not, and so that's where we differ.
Yeah.
On the other side, I am much more of a, also coming a bit out of the regulated industry. I'm much more of a guy looking on the fine print of contracts, and
Mm.
he's much more of a guy that says, well, let's trust each other, let's do, and it's not, if it's not super critical, it could also be a bit fuzzy. I don't like fuzziness in contracts.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Because I would have said like CFOs typically have that characteristics of being very detailed oriented, looking like in our case the CFO is like this, and I'm the opposite. So we would be exactly the opposite to you two. But it's a really good how do you say like both types
Yeah,
quite good but
you need to have the
necessary in this
synergy.
case.
Yeah, absolutely.
The synergy, yeah,
Yeah,
it's complementary.
absolutely.
It's quite
Correct.
complementary, I would say. And you have your systems in the back, like as you explained with LLM Claude, I guess,
Yeah,
or where you actually, yeah, check these things as
correct.
well. And that's a really good case. We just checked our own stuff actually a few weeks ago and realized there were some things still missing, and or not, or could be viewed as critical from the other party,
Hmm.
even though it hasn't been flagged. But yeah, I think that's a really good use case for this.
Absolutely.
Any any tactic you really liked that you have seen that we haven't talked about, Ari, from sales reps? What do you think? Like, what would you?
Yeah.
I mean, you said an interesting one for sure, like the honesty, like being okay. Hey, sorry, you. By the way, we are quite new. Not hiding that fact. We are quite new company. You would be our sixth client, but let's take it together. That's something you mentioned. You would is like yeah, you like.
Yeah. So what I really like is people are prepared. So if I get an approach and for example, hey Ari, we have customer X already as a customer, and I've seen on your page he's also a customer of yours. So you might want to ask him directly what he thinks about us. I'm sure he can tell you why this is great. So that shows me people are interested. And I mean, we have about 2,000 customers, so
Hmm.
there's a lot of potential overlap.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I like if people are also honest in terms of, and we had that with Salesforce when people say like, well, look here, end of year is coming. I need to get my bonus. XYZ, can we make this happen? I'm ready to give it all because I want my bonus. And so on and so forth. And I like that, but that's me because I'm coming out of the business,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's something I quite like. And what I really love when I'm looking in new products is give me access to the product. I'm a super practical guy. I love if I can just have a 20-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour access to the software where I can click through and think like, okay, how could this look like in my day?
Hmm.
And if if I look at your software for an hour and I'm not sure what value it brings, you might want to redesign your software.
Hmm. So you wouldn't buy Salesforce anymore, Ari, right? Because because I'm not sure if you can do that looking. No, anyway.
I can't disagree there.
But yeah, I think today there might be a few other good options. Back then, yeah, I did the same 5 years ago for Unique. I implemented so, and it was like yeah, 80 or 90K or something.
Hmm.
So it is quite spicy for sure. Ari, that
Hmm.
was a fantastic conversation. Thank you a lot for taking your time, sharing your view from a CEO's position. I think it's extremely valuable to see that and to see these different viewpoints. And I took quite a few interesting things from today. So I really appreciate you sharing these with the sales
My,
community.
my pleasure, and thanks for having me, Patrick. And everyone, I hope you have a good sales quarter.
Same to everybody else. Good sales quarter. Yes, that's the beginning of a new one.